Have you ever felt like you're missing something vital, a key to unlock your true potential, or a hidden door to a better life? Well, today we're diving into a story that feels just like that, a tale as old as time. The Lost Key to the Kingdom. Imagine a magnificent kingdom, prosperous and peaceful, ruled by a wise and just king. This kingdom wasn't protected by towering walls or vast armies, but by something far more powerful, a single ornate key. This wasn't just any key. It was said to have been forged from a fallen star and cooled in the waters of the world's first river. It didn't open a physical gate, but something much more profound. It unlocked the heart of the kingdom, ensuring its harmony, its abundance, and the collective happiness of its people. As long as the key was safe in the king's possession, the land flourished. The harvests were always bountiful, the rivers ran clear, and a spirit of community and kindness thrived in every town and village. The king kept the key on a simple cord around his neck, a constant reminder of his sacred duty. He wasn't a ruler who sat on a distant throne. He walked among his people, listened to their stories, and shared in their joys and sorrows. The key was a symbol of this connection, a tangible link between the ruler and the ruled. But one day, a shadow fell over the kingdom. It didn't come in the form of an invading army or a fearsome beast. It crept in as a whisper, a seed of doubt planted by a cunning court advisor named Malachor. Malachor was brilliant and ambitious, but his heart was consumed by envy. He saw the king's love for his people not as a strength, but as a weakness. He craved the power the key represented, but he misunderstood its true nature. He believed it was a tool of control, not a conduit of connection. Under the guise of strengthening the kingdom's defenses, Malachor convinced the king to build a grand treasury, a vault of impenetrable stone and iron to house the kingdom's most precious artifacts. "Your Majesty," he'd say with a bow, "the key is too precious to be worn so openly. A single moment of carelessness, a thief in the crowd, and all could be lost. It must be secured." Reluctantly, the king agreed. The treasury was built, a marvel of engineering, and a grand ceremony was held. With a heavy heart, the king placed the key inside a velvet-lined box, which was then locked away in the deepest, most secure chamber of the new vault. The people watched, a sense of unease settling over them. The key, once a visible symbol of their shared prosperity, was now hidden from sight. At first, nothing seemed to change. The sun still rose, the markets were still busy, but slowly, subtly, the spirit of the kingdom began to wane. The once vibrant colors of the fields seemed a little duller. The laughter in the streets was a little quieter. People started to look at their neighbors with suspicion rather than camaraderie. Small disagreements escalated into bitter feuds. The sense of unity that had defined the kingdom began to fray at the edges. The king felt it too. The weight of his crown felt heavier. Without the key around his neck, the constant, gentle reminder of his purpose was gone. He grew distant, spending more time in his castle, poring over reports and ledgers, trying to manage the kingdom's growing problems with rules and decrees instead of wisdom and empathy. He was trying to fix the symptoms without understanding the cause. The kingdom was losing its heart, and so was its king. This was exactly what Malachor had planned. With the king isolated and the people divided, his own influence grew. He positioned himself as the only one who understood the kingdom's complex problems, offering complicated solutions that only served to further entrench his own power. Years passed. The kingdom became a shadow of its former self. It was still called a kingdom, but the magic was gone. It was just a place, a collection of individuals living side by side, but not together. The treasury, meant to protect the kingdom's greatest treasure, had become its tomb. One day, a young orphan girl named Ilara, who had only heard stories of the kingdom's golden age, was exploring the forgotten corners of the castle library. She stumbled upon an old, dusty tome. It wasn't a book of laws or history, but a collection of poems and songs written by the first queen. As she read, she found a passage that described the key. It didn't speak of its power or its monetary value. It spoke of its warmth, of how it hummed with the collective spirit of the people, and how it needed to be held, seen, and shared to keep its magic alive. The book said, "The key locks not a gate of iron, but opens the door to every heart. Its strength is not in being hidden, but in being a part of every start." Ilara finally understood. The key wasn't an object of power to be hoarded. It was a symbol of trust, unity, and shared spirit. Hiding it away hadn't protected it. It had starved it. Filled with a newfound sense of purpose, Ilara managed to get an audience with the now aged and weary king. She didn't come with accusations or demands. She simply read the queen's poem to him. As the words filled the quiet throne room, something flickered in the old king's eyes. A memory, a feeling, a long-forgotten truth. He looked at his hands, remembering the feel of the key, its warmth against his skin. He remembered walking among his people, not as a ruler, but as a fellow citizen. He saw with painful clarity how he had allowed fear and doubt to convince him to lock away the very soul of his kingdom. Galvanized, the king rose from his throne for the first time in years with a true sense of command. He summoned the royal guard, not with anger but with resolve. He marched to the treasury with Ilara by his side and a growing crowd of hopeful citizens following behind. Malachor tried to stop them, spouting warnings of security protocols and dangers, but his words were hollow now. The people and the king were no longer listening to the voice of fear. They were listening to the hope in their own hearts. The vault door was opened, the chest was unlocked, and the king lifted the key from its velvet prison. It felt cold and lifeless in his hand. The vibrant glow was gone. But as he held it up for all to see, a murmur went through the crowd. It wasn't a cheer, but a collective sigh of recognition, of remembering. The king walked out of the treasury and into the sunlight. He didn't put the key back in his pocket or around his neck. Instead, he walked to Ilara, the girl who had reminded him of the truth, and placed the key in her hands. "It belongs to all of us," he said, his voice clear and strong. Ilara then passed it to the person next to her, a baker, who passed it to a blacksmith, who passed it to a farmer. As the key moved from hand to hand from one citizen to another, a strange and wonderful thing began to happen. With each touch, a faint warmth returned to it. A soft light began to emanate from its core, growing brighter and warmer as it passed through the hands of the young and the old, the rich and the poor. The key was being recharged by the one thing that had given it power in the first place: the people. The kingdom didn't transform overnight. The divisions didn't vanish in an instant, but the healing had begun. The key was never locked away again. It was kept in the open, in the town square, for anyone to see, to touch, to remember what they were a part of. It became a tradition for every visitor, every newborn, every newlywed couple to touch the key, adding their own hopes and spirit to its enduring light. So, what is the lost key to our own kingdom? Maybe it's not a single thing. Maybe it's the courage to trust, the willingness to connect, the understanding that our greatest strengths aren't meant to be locked away and protected, but shared openly. It's the realization that true security comes not from walls and vaults, but from community, empathy, and a shared sense of purpose. That key is something we all hold. We just have to be brave enough to use it and share it with each other. Thanks for joining me on this journey today. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments what you think the key is in your own life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. See you next time.